Welcome, everybody, to our second ever Global Admin Overview training. My name is Wendy. I'll be the purser on this flight, and Joe Finley will be back at the deck. Thanks, Joe. So we here at Mazevo recognize that there are new global admins coming on board all the time, and you might wonder, how was the software set up? Why was it set up this way? We have another group of folks on this call that maybe took global admin training 5 years ago. In fact, I saw somebody on the list that's been a global admin for 5 years, and you just want a refresher. And then we have some folks on this call that are brand new to the software, brand new to the role. In fact, we have one person that said, we just got Mazevo last week. So we've got a mixed bag of tricks here, and that's kind of why we are doing this global admin overview. We'll be doing it once a quarter. So our next one will be in December-ish. And keep in mind that this is a very high level overview. If you see something and you want more information on it, please reach out to myself, Wendy at mymazevo.com. Or is it GoMazevo? It's GoMazevo. Yeah. Wendy at gomazevo.com or Joe at gomazevo.com. We are happy to set up a time and go over everything with you. Also, Joe will be putting answers to your questions. So if you submit a question in the chat, Joe will attempt to answer it. What we don't get to, don't worry. Keep your questions coming. We'll take all those questions, we will answer them, and then we will send them out after this call to everybody. So you'll get to see everybody's questions and then our answers. All right. Without further ado, let's keep going. I want to talk about the permissions, all right? There are 3 levels of permissions in Mazevo. There is the global administrator, there is the event planner with a sublevel, and then there is the requester. What you're looking at is the global administrator role with requester permissions. So, the global administrator sees everything. I have given this global administrator requester permissions, and this is a best practice. Why? Because as a global administrator, you want to see what the requester sees. So when the requester, by the way, these people were formerly called everyday users or web requesters, those of you that came from EMS, you want to see what they see. You want to troubleshoot if they call you and say, hey, I'm not able to see this room, or I can't book room XYZ. You want to experience what they experience. So I will show you how to give yourself those requester permissions. The next level down is the event planner. All right. The event planner sees this first column. And they only see add new event, find events, event book, event calendar, so on and so forth. They don't see those other columns. And these users can actually create and manage events for themselves and other people. Now there's a sub-level. There is the event planner with view only permissions. They only see what is in that box, those red boxes, sorry. Find events, event book, event calendar. They can view their events and other people's events. You can give them other roles. You can snap on reports to them. You can snap on invoicing. You can snap on operations and requests. But if they are just a view-only event planner, that's what they see. The third level is the requester. The requester only sees what is in that box right there within the red box. The sublevel is the requester with view only. They will only see the event book, my events, and all events. They will not be able to add requests. They will see right there what's in that book. Okay, let's move into the software now. And Joe, I'm going to move over to Mazevo. And let me know when you can see it. Can you see it?
Got it.
Okay. Now, I turned off academics. Normally, it would be right here in that column. So if you're all curious, why does she only have X number of columns. That's why I turned off academics. I told you that I would show you how to add the request column to your permissions. And so I'm going to do that first before I forget. Up here under settings, users, find your user account, edit it, go to the security tab. And in addition to Global Administrator, give yourself requester permissions, create requests, pick a security policy. If you've just created a new security policy or you've changed a security policy, please go in and give yourself that policy, okay, and then test it. So then when you hit save, log out, log back in, you'll see this column. And you'll have both the global admin and the requester permissions. All right. So let's dive into the settings. Because you are a global admin, you have this little tools icon in the top right corner, which gives you access to all of these things. So this is why you want to keep your global admins to a minimum, because global admins can go in and change anything. All right. So let's start with buildings. First of all, when I click on buildings, it opens up, and this new column here, this is relatively new for some of you that have been global admins for a long time. This column right here tells me how many rooms belong to each building. To add a building, you simply click on Add Building. I'll just click on one that's already been added. You give it a name and pick a time zone. Don't worry about external ID. Okay, name, time zone. You will see this history tab with all of the settings, the configuration, aka setting items. And this just shows who created it, when they created it, and if there had been any changes, you can see who made those changes. All right. So that's how you add a building. Now, you would think that I would come to rooms next, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go to room setups, and then I'm going to go to room types, because in order to create rooms, you need these other two things, these other two configuration items. So the next one I'll go to are room setups. Now, I've got 8 room setups in here. I want to draw your attention to this column right here, this requestable column. This means, can the requester request this setup style? You'll notice that I have C diagram. I have it set to no. I don't want my requesters to choose C diagram. Now, keep in mind, a requester can only request that style if it is tied to a room. So it's not like they can request it even though it says yes for a conference room if it's not tied to that conference room. So to add a room setup, you simply click on Add Room Setup. I'm going to just open one up that I've already created. You give it a name. You pick from this selection of pictures. What does it look like? I chose that one, obviously. You can give it a description here. And this is kind of nice because then your requesters can see, well, what exactly is Classroom? What is it used for, etc. And then there's that little requestable box that makes it requestable. You're going to see this disabled box throughout all of my configuration, aka setting items. If you want to disable this, just click right there, disabled. And then it's not, you can't be used again. All right, to add a setup style to a room, you click on Manage Room Setups, pick the style you want to work with, and then you select the room or rooms, you can do multiples, and click on Apply Setup Style and put the capacity. So if I put 12 here, this room, eLab A, could be set up classroom style for 12. That's how you add a setup style to a room. Okay, let me come back here. Let's now go to room types. Room types are the kinds of rooms. So for example, it helps you categorize your rooms. And by the way, your requesters will be able to see that. So they can see, oh, room, Hawthorne room. Is it a classroom? Is it a lecture hall? What is it? Is it a meeting space? It just helps classify them. And I'm going to come back to settings now, and I'm going to show you why you want to create room types and room setups before you create rooms. So when you add a room, you give it a name, you select the building it belongs to. Actually, I'm just going to open up the Hawthorne room and show you. All right, so you give the room a name, you select which building it belongs to. Here's the room type. It's optional, but it is nice because then your customers, your requesters can see what kind of room it is. If this room requires setup and teardown time when you book it, you can add it here. So this will put 30 minutes between events, 15 minutes of setup, 15 minutes of teardown. Does that make sense? So what happens is if I book the room at 7:30, it will pull it out of inventory at 7:15. If the event ends at 10 a.m., it will release the room at 10:15 because I've got 15 minutes on each end. The notes. The notes can be seen by the requester, so be careful what you write here. All right. If you have something that is internal to you, put it in the internal notes. I put something like carpet replaced in October 2024. I want to keep track of when that was done. Don't worry about the external ID. Room alert. What is that? Well, if this box is checked, you can put an alert on this room. The requester, as well as you and the other event planners, will see a little red icon by the room. I'll show you that. And they can hover over the red icon and they can see this alert. All right. Number of room cards. Some of our customers have plastic sign holders outside their doors, and they want to print a list of what's happening in that room. If you have two doors, a door over here for this room, a door over here for the same room, you'd want to put two here. If you're not even using room cards, just leave it at one. It's not going to print out unless you run the report, room card report, but this is what it's for. Room is always available, excuse me. Caution, caution. Don't check that box unless you want to double book this room. It doesn't mean this room is requestable. It doesn't mean this room is available to be booked by an event planner. It means you can double click or double book it. And you're probably asking yourself, why would I ever want to double book a room? Believe it or not, we do have some customers that have maybe just a placeholder, a parking lot, or something like that, where they just want to continually book events in there on top of one another. So they select that box. If you needed to disable a room, you click that box right there. If you want this room to permanently go away, disable it and then contact us and tell us what rooms you want to go away, because you need to keep in mind, you are paying for disabled rooms. We charge by the room. So whether it's active or disabled, you're being charged for it. Contact us if you want it to go away. The deleted box you will not see. Only Mazevo people see that deleted box. On the capacity tab, this is where you put the minimum that this room can hold and the maximum, regardless of setup style. Right? The maximum this room can hold. On the room image tab, you can upload a picture or pictures of this room. And then here's what you may want to give it a name. Conference style, U-shape. Tell us what this picture is. On the QR code tab, some of our customers print this QR code out, put it outside the room, and then a person can come up, scan it with their phone. And if they have access to book that room, they can book it. All right. Come out of here. Are we getting any questions about adding rooms, Joe? Feel good? Okay.
We're good.
Couple of things I want to point out here. Room tags. Some of you in EMS had views. This is the same thing. All right. So, for example, I've created a tag called classrooms. You give it a name. You come to the rooms tab and you tell us, well, what are the classrooms? What are they? Where does this come into play? I'll show you. On the event book, and there's other places too, but this is the big one. I can say, hey, I want to look through a building, or I want to look through a room tag. And I want to look at my classrooms. So it's just a subset of rooms, regardless of the building. All right, back to rooms. That's where you do your room tags, aka views. You come from EMS. You'll notice also that some of these rooms have little camera icons. Well, that's because features have been tied to the rooms. So how do I tie features to a room so that I can search for a room based on features? Under Manage Features, first you create the features. So I've created two, podium and screen. Then I click on that feature. I click if it's requestable or not. Do I want my requesters to search for a room based on this feature? And then I go to the Rooms tab and I select the rooms that have this feature. So now your requesters will be able to type in podium, and if the room's available, it will pop up. You'll notice here there's a little number here, and this just tells me, oh, these are the 5 rooms that have the podium. So that's kind of handy. All right. I also want to call your attention to cleanup. You're going to see this throughout our settings, but if I click on cleanup, what I'm going to see first is all the rooms here that have 0 bookings, meaning these rooms have been created, they've never been used. And guess what? You're paying for them. All right. Now, if I just want to see all rooms, I can now see all my rooms and then the number of bookings that are in each. And I'm just going to sort and take a look. This room has been used the most. At the bottom will be the rooms with 0 bookings. Shows when it was created and who created it. We're going to have a lot of those cleanup tools coming throughout the next couple of months, all throughout the settings. All right, last but not least, under our facilities section, building hours. So we have 2 tabs here. We have all dates and specific dates. The all dates, what that means is somebody went in and clicked on add building hours and they selected all dates, which means forever. These are my building hours forever. This tab over here just shows me specific dates. So looks like I closed this building on January 21st. Here's how you add building hours. You click on add building hours. You tell us, is it all buildings, all dates, date range, or a specific date? You put in the hours, and then you select the days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a date range. And I am going to select all buildings. And I'm going to close my building between December 1st and December 5th. And I'm going to click this box, closed all day. All right, that's how you add a building hour. I like this little feature right here. You may say, hey, tell me what my building hours are on, let's just go to October 6th, and I want to select Anderson Hall. I click on check date. That's my building hours for that building on that date. Very helpful tool so you're not scrolling through hundreds of dates, because some of you have a lot of building hours. We've seen it. All right. So we've concluded the tour of our facilities section. Let's jump down to events. First of all, we're going to go to event types. And by the way, guys, something I didn't point out, you see these little bubbles with the number? That just means, in my case, I have 14 buildings, I have 9 event types, 4 confirmation templates, so on and so forth. But that's what those numbers represent. All right, I'm going to click on event types. So here are my event types. I'm going to call your attention to, again, to this column. Is this type of event requestable? Can my requester request a space for this type of event? And you'll notice I created an event type called maintenance, because when I want to book a room to take it offline for a week or a month or whatever the case may be, I book it to maintenance, but I don't necessarily want my requesters to go book a room for maintenance. So that's why I made this one no. Best practice, less is more. You don't want to have a lot of event types. It gets your requesters confused. It gets your event planners confused. So less is more. Again, we have the cleanup tool. Go look at this. I'm going to show all my event types, and this will show me, here's all my event types and the number of bookings. And you'll see that some of mine are disabled. So that's why they're in the light gray. All right. Organization types. Organization types help you to classify your organizations. Here's what I mean by that. If I go back to the main menu and I click on organizations, I can see how they are classified. And by the way, an organization does not know what classification you've given them. But this actually does come in handy when we start talking about other elements of the settings, because there's certain triggers that can be triggered on if it's a student organization, or if it's an organization type of student organization, send out this email. You will see how this comes in handy. All right, let's talk about statuses. I could do a whole hour on statuses, but let's just take a quick look at these different columns, all right? First of all, does it block space? Well, cancel, no. How is it viewed by the requester? So what do I mean by that? When a requester books space, you have all these, or when they request space, you have all these different statuses. A requester doesn't know what they mean. They don't know what waitlist means, tenant. They don't understand. All they want to know is it pending, or is it booked? Is it denied? Is it canceled? If it's in a conflict status, they don't comprehend, they don't understand what do you consider conflict. They want to know, they just want to know, is it other? Okay, so we've got like double book. I've got a double book status. To the requester, it'll look like other. I'll show you what the requester sees. All right, default. I have all of them set to no except confirmed. What does that mean? That means use this status when Event Planner creates a new event. You may have noticed when you go to create an event, the confirmed status is already pre-populated for you. That's because the global admin checked this box. All right. Will this event in this status show on a public-facing calendar? A link. We've got a link to a calendar that you can post on a website. So I have my confirmed events set to yes, I want them to show on the calendar, and my tentative events set to yes, I want them to show on the calendar. The next column, book/reports. That means, do the events in this particular status show on my event book? And then you may have wondered when you run a report, let me just show you, that these statuses are pre-populated. That's because that box is checked, show on event book or reports. All right, so back to statuses. We'll talk about requester locked in a requester session. So I want to drill into an event, okay? You give it a name. Does it block space? Does it look like this to the requester, booked or pending? Well, if it's if you confirm it, it looks like booked to the requester, not pending. There's the box display on public calendar, all events. All events is for the requester. There's the box display on book reports. Use this status when Event Planner creates an event. And then down here, you can pick a color. Here's what I'm talking about. What does it look like to the requester? So I'm going to go be a requester right now. I'm going to go to my events. There we go. So behind the scenes, this status might say confirmed. It also might say confirmed with catering, but to the requester, it just looks booked. This one might be in double book status or conflict, but to me, to the requester, it just looks like other. And then this one is probably still in request status, but to the requester, it looks like it's pending. Okay. Statuses. All right. Now, cancel reasons. These are optional in EMS. If some of you came from EMS, it was not optional. If you created a cancel reason, there's a little checkbox, must use cancel reason. Some of our customers want to track why people are canceling. And if you do, this is where you would create those cancel reasons. Moved to different venue, found cheaper venue, etc. Right? Special dates. Those of you that came from EMS, you called them holidays. We call them special dates. Please keep in mind, special dates do not close the building. It's information only. Here's what it does. All right. So I've got fall break on October 13th. If I go to my event book, and I'll choose my buildings. Let's do Anderson Hall. And I'll move this to October 13th. Right there. Tells me it's fall break. That's what special dates do. By the way, there's that red icon that I mentioned. That's the alert. When I hover over it, no red wine in this room. So, messages. What are messages? When you send a confirmation, you can pick and choose header messages and footer messages to put on your confirmation. You can also put them on your invoices. When you create a message, you click on add message, give it a name, text, and right here is where you determine, is it a header? Is it a footer? Is it an invoice header, invoice footer, email body? I'll show you an example. In fact, let's just do that. Let me go to the header. All right, you can also color code things. You can put links to things. I've put a link here to the campus map. What you do is you highlight the word that you want to put a link to, click right here and add your link. What I want to caution you about is this box right here, automatically apply messages to new confirmation. If that box is checked, it's going to go out on every confirmation. So if you're sharing a tenant with several different departments, they may not want your message on their confirmations. So just be real careful about that. All right, let me just show you what I'm talking about when it comes to header and footer. I'm just going to go to this Mazevo training. Email a confirmation. There's a header. I can add, and by the way, you can add multiples. I can add multiple headers, multiple footers, so on and so forth. Right now, I want to show you an example of a body message. When I hit the send button, here's a body message. This is going to be the first thing that the customer receives when they open their email. So they don't even have to drill into the confirmation. That is the first thing. So if there's something really important that you want your customer to read, make it a body message. It's the first thing. You can also add on to it. Okay, any questions on the messages, Joe? Good deal. All right. Event questions. Event questions are for the requester. All right, because there's often times when you want to gather more information other than time, date, room, building. Will you be serving alcohol? Has your event been approved by your leader, your president of your organization, or whatever the case may be? So here's how you add an event question. This is the description, by the way. It's just a short description. And the reason why is because in Find Events, you can actually find events and the answers based on the question that you have asked. And if you've got a real long question, it's hard to read it under the Find Event. So we just put a parking place here for a short description of this event question, alcohol question, age question. Down here is where you put what the requester will see. Notice that you can put links to the question and a description. Here's the triggers. What makes the question appear? And remember, I told you organization type could be a trigger. So maybe you only want to ask this question if they're a student organization. You don't want to ask it of faculty staff. That's where you might want to use organization type. Standard, if you leave the standard, it gives them a open text box to answer the question. Specific answers allows you to create answers that they can pick from. If you check this box, they can select both yes and no. And then attachment allows them to upload an attachment. All right, so let me just show you one. Let me get into, what was it that I wanted to show? Here we go. Here's a good one. This one's based on attendance. So anything over 100, they can free text in. You can also narrow it down by building, guys. You don't have to ask it every time based on attendance, maybe if they're just using the ballroom. All right, let's move on. Those were event questions, and that is for your requester. Secondary approvals. What are secondary approvals? Well, it's the first line of defense. So first of all, a request may come in, and you and your event team don't necessarily want to approve it until the catering department has said okay, until the AV department has said, yes, it's okay. Security may need to weigh in. That's what secondary approvals are all about. So I'm going to show you this one, AV approval, calling it AV approval. Wendy Newland is the approver. It gets triggered when people request the service of AV or equipment. And then Wendy Newland will get triggered to go approve it before me, the event planning, also Wendy Newland, will approve it. I want to call your attention to this. Review events before activating. If this box is checked, me, the event planner, will look over the event and then go to the approvals tab on the event and then say release. And then all these approvers will get emailed saying, hey, you need to go approve this event before the event planning team can say it's okay. So here's what it's going to look like on your day at a glance if you're waiting on people, if you've set up approvals. So right here, these two, I'm an event planner. These two events right here, they don't require any secondary approvals. I can march right in and approve them. These two right here, they're waiting on somebody. They're waiting on a secondary approval to approve them. I can also look at my day at a glance this way. And I can see, oh, I'm waiting on the AV team for these two. I'm waiting on the catering team for these. And I'm waiting on the parking department on these. Very high level overview of approvals. We've got a great Mazevo Connect that we did. And we actually, each of us played a role. It's a great, great video on approvals. If any of you want us to send that video to you, let us know. Confirmation templates. I like to think of that as my letterhead. It's what appears at the top when I send a confirmation. So I'm going to drill into this one. This is the title. That's what is going to be at the top of the confirmation. It's going to say confirmation. I'm putting my email address in there. There's my title. And then the type is either a banquet event order or confirmation. Some of our catering people, our catering departments use banquet event orders. So you would make it a banquet event order. I'll show you both just so you understand what they look like. Put your address, city, state, zip, phone in here so your customers know who they can contact, where they show up if they have a question. Here's where the magic happens too, the options tab. What do you want to show on the confirmation? I like to show the organization address. I like to show the room charges. Here's where I could hide pricing if I didn't want any of the pricing to show. I like to show the service provider totals. Here's what you're paying for catering. Here's what you're paying for AV, so on. Show setup and tear down times. Some of our customers want that to show. Some of them don't. The reason why you may not want it to show, because if you're showing your customer the setup and tear down time, they're going to show up early while you're in the room setting it up. Show attendance, show event description. If you're allowing your requesters to provide an event description, or if you're putting in an event description, you can show that. Show the total discount on the event. Show event questions. This is relatively new. Remember the event questions we just created? You can actually show those. Limit deposits. If you have multiple billing departments, you have a catering department that bills, you have an AV department that invoices, you may want to do this. So if I take a deposit, I'm going to associate that deposit with whichever department is going to be invoicing this event. We can do a deep dive on invoicing for anybody that wants one. And then which service providers do I want to show on this confirmation? I'm just going to leave it blank because I want them all to show. Let me show you the difference then between what a BEO looks like and a confirmation. And notice I've got a confirmation called facility use agreement. We don't care what you call it. You can call it whatever you want. So this is a facility, it's going to be called facility use agreement, for example, and then, but the type is a confirmation. So let me just open an event. All right, and I'm going to do the confirmation template of facility use agreement. So title, facility use agreement, there's that FAU, right? When I email it, this is what it will look like. Go to my email and show it to you. Oh, Akeem has been sending me emails. Oh, it went to Billy Smalls, not Wendy. Sorry. Let me send it to myself. I don't really want to wait on it, guys. We'll come back to it. Oh, it just came through. See that FAU? Okay, here's what it will look like. View FAU, facility use agreement. All right, let's go take a quick look here at what the BEO looks like. Email. BEO. Different. Okay, and I didn't tell this particular BEO to show the service provider, so there's nothing here. But it will show quantity, it will show price if you tell the BEO to do it. But anyway, confirmation templates, letterhead, and a way to create your banquet event orders. Tasks. Tasks are, they were called reminders in EMS. I like to think of them as the little yellow sticky notes you have all over your desk. So tasks are for you. They're not for the customer. They are for you. So I've got an AV check, contract due, finalize catering count, get driver's license. Maybe I have some bus drivers and I need to keep track of their driver's license, and you can attach it to an organization insurance certificate. So you can attach a task to an event, the overall event, a booking, or an organization. To create a task, you simply click on add task, and I'll just drill into one, and here we go. So I call it AV task. This is attached to the entire event. The trigger is the location. The building is Anderson. The user is Wendy. 2 days, after the task is created. So the way this one's going to work, it will go on any event in Anderson Hall. Wendy will be the person assigned to this task, and she's going to get it 2 days after it has been created. The next piece of this puzzle, guys, is on your day at a glance, you're going to want to go to your settings like this. And then you're going to want to check this box, tasks, so you can see what your tasks are. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to go to my task, and here are all the tasks that I have. I've clearly ignored these, and so they're in red, but here's what's coming up. And this will show out 7 days into the future. You may have tasks for October, but they're not going to show, like October 23rd. They're not going to show up yet. It's too far into the future. You just drill into this task and you complete it. You can put some notes with it too. If you want to go directly to the event to take a look at it, you can click on the event, go to the tasks. Here they are. So I may want to drill into this and complete it from here. So they're actually very helpful. One of our schools uses tasks quite extensively, and they gave us a presentation, a Mazevo Connect on tasks, and we're happy to send that out too if anybody wants to watch how they're using it. Scheduled emails. All right, scheduled emails go to your customers to remind them to do things. So think of it this way. I know all of you have probably booked a hotel room in the past, and about a week before your reservation, you get an email. Don't forget about your upcoming stay at the XYZ Marriott. It's the same concept. So I have several of them in here. AV reminder, don't forget your AV tech order. Catering, don't forget your catering. Deposit, 25% deposit due. It goes out 14 days before the event. And you can even do a scheduled email after an event with a survey. So let's drill into one of these and just take a quick look at how we can set them up. That's the description. This is optional. If they receive the email and you want to put an email in there for them to respond to, if they have a question, you certainly can do that. This is going to be the subject line. Down here is the body. This is what they're going to see. And by the way, you can put variables in there. So you could put in either the subject line or the message, hello. Don't forget about, let me show you what I mean. And then you need to do this exact. I think it's capital. Let me see here. Nope, event name. So how it's lowercase event, capital N. It's got to be exact. Bracket, bracket, oops. Bracket, bracket, on, and then you could use your variable on XYZ date, blah, blah, blah. So it kind of jogs their memory. You could also put that in the subject line. So it pulls from the event, plops it into what's in those brackets. Okay. Who do you want it to go to? The primary contact, the secondary, or the billing contact? Next, what's going to trigger this? So in this case, it's location. I'll show you, the other different triggers. And then I only want it to go out if they've booked in Anderson Hall, the Academic Center, or the Administration Hall. This one is scheduled for 1 day before each booking. So they're going to get it before each booking if this is a multi-day event. Only if it's in a confirmed status. Best practice, include a copy of their confirmation. Because otherwise they're going to get this email and they're going to go, I don't even know what, I don't remember. I booked so many events. Include a copy of their confirmation. When that box is checked, you will go to your confirmation settings tab, pull the confirmation template header. It's pulled from those confirmation templates that you created earlier. You could add another header message, add another footer message, and you can also add a document to this scheduled email. So this might be a reminder of, don't forget to submit your insurance certificate. You could add the insurance certificate here and it will be attached to that scheduled email. Let me take a little step back here because I drilled into one that's already prepared. but I want to show you the different triggers. I could trigger a scheduled email always for every single event, just based on a location, only send it out if it's in this building or this room tag. A service, only send it out if they order catering or if they order AV. Event type, only send this scheduled email out if they're hosting a concert. Let's do another one here. Another trigger. Organization type, only send this out if it's a student organization. Attendance, only send it out, only send the scheduled email out if the attendance is greater than X. So scheduled emails are great. They help your customers remember to do things about their upcoming event. And then, like I said, here's one that's 2 days after the event. It's a survey. All right. Scheduled emails. Let's come down here now to services. Service providers, they were called categories in EMS, for those of you that came from EMS. So I've got AV, catering, event service, furniture, security, parking. When you create a service provider, it's helpful to pick an icon that matches what it is. What buildings can this service provider be provided to? If you leave it blank, it's available to all buildings. Is it internal, meaning only you, global admins and event planners, will be able to use it? If you put notes on the resources as you're typing in and you want those notes that live under the service provider to show on the invoice, click that box. If you need to disable a service provider, there's your disabled box. Now, I want to show you this little email tab. If you put an email address in here, this email address will receive a service order of this event when it is added to an event. We can show you examples. If any of you want us to send you an example of what that looks like, I have a ton of them. Let me know. All right. I'm going to come out of settings. That's your service providers. Here's where you create what lives underneath of those service providers. So I'm going to come to resources and I'll just drill into the box lunch. You give it a name. Here's the notes. As you can see, they are optional. Resource grouping. I'm going to show you why this is helpful. It's helpful for things like catering, not necessarily helpful for other service providers, but I'll show you why it's helpful for catering. You select which service provider it belongs to. If it is an item that should be inventoried, you would click that box and tell us how many you have. Typically, if it's a catering item, you don't manage the inventory, but things like AV, furniture, you probably do. If this item is internal, meaning you don't want this item selected by a requester, click that box. And then if it is requestable, select this box, requestable. This room exclusions tab, this just tells me that this particular food item belongs to a room exclusion that I have created, which I will show you, and it cannot be used in these 5 rooms. It would be weird not to have box lunches in certain rooms, but it's highly likely that you have certain AV items that you don't want moved into certain rooms. All right, I told you I'd show you why resource groupings are kind of handy. First of all, you create resource groupings right here. And I've created one called beverages, breakfast, desserts, lunch, dinner, equipment. Here's why they're nice. I'm going to open up Mazevo training. I'm going to go to my resources, add some resources. I'm going to choose my catering. There. Now my menu items are grouped by resource groupings. So that's why it's useful for catering. It's like looking at a menu. Show me my breakfast items, show me my lunch items, so on and so forth. Let's go back to resources because I want to dive into room exclusions a little bit. Right here is where you create those room exclusions. So I've created a couple of them, AV and food. I'm going to look at this AV one. First, you give it a name. And then you have two choices here. Resources can only be used in the selected rooms or cannot be used in the selected rooms. This is more common than the first. I'm going to choose resource cannot be used in the selected rooms. I then go to the resources. I picked bleachers and I think that's it. Yeah, bleachers. Those bleachers cannot be moved into this room. So it prevents your requesters from even seeing the option of bleachers when they request room A102. You as an event planner, you can override that. A global admin and an event planner can actually override an exclusion. Any questions on that one, Joe? We're good?
Nope,
Okay.
nope, we're up to date.
Okay.
Questions are going well.
All right. All right. Now we're going to come down to the billing section. I do have a service charge. Got a 10% service charge. It's effective, oh wow, 3/15/2021. Some of you use that on catering. We have a service charge on catering. And then I've got my taxes. All right, but I would hesitate to do a deep dive into pricing on this call with so many different kinds of people. Really, it's best to talk to Joe or myself if you want to discuss how are you going to set up your pricing plans, because they can get very complex. But at a high level, pricing plans are, first of all, you give it a name. And then you say, does it apply to new events, which means it would go on any new event that gets created? Do you want to adjust the service charge by X number of percent? Probably not. I don't think we have anybody doing that. And then here's where you disable it. But where the magic happens is right here under manage pricing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose student organization. I'm going to go to my student organization pricing, and you'll notice all the rooms here. So if you want to mass add pricing, again, they have to be the same pricing. So A102, A201, A210, since I selected all of them, I'm going to apply the price. And here you've got unit, hourly, half day, full day. Half day, full day by default is anything after 4 hours would go to full day. If your situation is different, you can call us, email us and say, hey, our half day is actually 6 hours. We can change it behind the scenes. It's a setting on our end. I want to call your attention to this, hourly. You can do by event hours or reserved hours. So that's relatively new. Or you could just do a flat unit. So I'm going to charge $20. By the way, you can put a discount in here. So the customer, if they had student organization pricing, would see, this room is really $20, but I get a 50% discount. So I'm paying $10 an hour for these 3 rooms. So I just mass put the pricing in on these 3 rooms. Where do you put the pricing in for your resources? On the resources tab. I'm going to look for my catering items. By the way, this little search tool is all throughout our settings. So you just change your pricing plan, go to your rooms or resources, and then drill into each and put your pricing. All right, back to settings. Invoicing departments. This is the letterhead for your invoice. And in my tenant, that's what we call this, a tenant, I have 2 departments. You give it a name. You can put a prefix, a suffix, your terms, your next invoice number, address. Here's what prints on your invoice. Here's your filters and messages. So for this billing department, I only bill for these buildings. I only want to bill for confirmed events. And I only want to bill for these service providers. Be sure to check this box if you want to invoice for room charges. And then here's your header and footer that you could tack on to these invoices. All right, let's come out of invoicing, skip over to the calendar managers. I do want to show you something new here with users. Click into my users. Over here, oh, sorry. Where is it? Filter by role, right here. This is new. This came out this week. If I want to see all my people that are global admins, I click that box, and here's the list of all my global administrators. I would have you go back after this training and take a quick look and see, well, how many do we have? Be careful, guys. Again, you don't want to have too many, but you can also say, hey, how many people have the event reporting publisher role? This is a great new little tool here. All right, let's do something here up under this little blue arrow. Very few people go exploring up here. Oh, wait, before I do that, I do want to show you one other thing. I want to go into a user and point something out. First of all, here's how you make somebody, here's how you give them their permissions. But I was telling you earlier that you can snap on other permissions. So first of all, I just made Chris an event planner. He can create events in these buildings. But right here's where I can give him more permissions. So in addition to just being an event planner, create events, I also want to give him reporting. So now when he logs in, he's going to see that first column of all the event planner, but he's also going to see the reporting column. This is how you give them the add-ons on the other security roles. Preferences. You can now pick the preferences for your users. So I can make Chris's preferred building where he primarily books space, Anderson Hall. I can make his default start page the day at a glance. Prompt for room setup means that it's going to ask him, how do you want the room set up when you create an event? Remember, he's an event planner. If I check this box, Chris will get blind copied on every confirmation he sends out. He doesn't want that. Set start time to current time when creating events. That means when he goes to add a new event, if it's 9:39, the start time will default to 10 a.m. It just helps him so he doesn't have to fill in the start time. Auto adjust start times. If he goes to change the start time on an event, it will also change the end time. End time will scoot with the start time. And then notifications. I can determine what notifications I want Chris to get. I want him to get notified about all requests. I want him to be notified about events from other users, which means if I click this box, if I create an event as an event planner or global admin, Chris is going to get notified that I did that. Notify me about unread messages. We have a messaging tool in Mazevo where you can message each other back and forth, sort of like instant message or Slack. You can have conversations with requesters or each other. He would be notified. Somebody has sent you a message, you need to go read it. And then I can make Chris be notified, receive an email every time somebody adds AV to an event. So you can set up people's preferences and notifications. Okay, promised I'd come back over here. So I'm going to set up my own profile and preferences. Here's my preferences. I book in all buildings, therefore I don't have a preferred building. And then here's my notifications. So be aware, you can set up your own, or you can go in and set up other people. All right, account settings. This is important, guys. Very, very, very important. First of all, here's where you change your logo, remove your logo. primary color. This is the color on your daily operations report that separate each booking. It's also what prints on your confirmation. This login, you'll see my alert up here. That's pulled from right here. Requester support message. This is for your requesters. I do want to call your attention to this. This is so important. Please, everybody, after this call, go to the blue arrow, go to account settings. Please put this in right here. Who do we at Mazevo reach out to when your customers contact us? Because we don't know often who is the main contact if your requesters have questions, or we need to know who we're supposed to reach out to. So please put the support contact name in there for us. Emails, this is kind of, these down here, these are really used mostly for those of you that do not use single sign-on. I don't want to dive too deep into this. It will get you a little bit confused, but I do want to tell you about this email logo. When I send a confirmation to a customer, there is a little logo in the top left. So it's different from this logo. And some of you call into us and go, my logo looks really squished, because if you don't have an email logo here, it's going to pull from this logo, which might be the wrong size. We need this logo size for the confirmation emails that go out, that you send out. Okay. Calendar. I was telling you about the calendar. When we were talking about statuses, there's this question. Do you want this status to show on the calendar? Here's the calendar I'm talking about. So all of you have this. This is just a public calendar link. This is what it looks like. You could take that link and put it on your website. Here's all events going on today. And it's all events that have the status that you have said can be on this calendar. I'll show you other calendars that you can create if you want to create a calendar for athletics or a calendar for a certain building, or etc. I'll show you how to do that. This includes everything that meets the criteria of the statuses. And like I said, you can take this link, give it to your web person, and they can post it somewhere. Okay. All right, let's now go to account info. This just shows how many rooms that you are licensed for, how many rooms you have used, if you're ever curious, how many combo rooms you have, how many total rooms, active rooms, inactive rooms. Often people call us and go, how many licensed rooms are we? You know what we do? We log into your account and look here. So you can do it too. Security log. This just shows who logged in and when. I'm looking at today, but I could look the last 14 days. All right, close building. This is kind of handy. I want to close the building. Let's do it tomorrow. I'm going to choose Anderson Hall. Any events that are in that building, I'm going to put them in a cancel status. Weather, we're supposed to have a big snowstorm tomorrow. This will show me how many bookings are in Anderson Hall tomorrow. So I will know, whoops, all these people are going to get canceled. You can then go run a report, see who all you've canceled, and then send them a note and tell them. All right, so it's for those emergencies really, or maybe you have to close it because there's a water leak somewhere or something like that. Handy tool when you need it. Check configuration, you won't see that. That's for Mazevo people. Admin tools. This, I really, really like this. I can look at inactive organizations for the last 3 months, and here they are. These organizations have not been used in the last 3 months. Inactive contacts. And you can see I can do 6 months or 1 year. Change events. Really, really, really handy. Watch this. You can change a contact, an event coordinator, or an organization. So let's say that let's do Campus Clean Team. Let's say that I'm going to inactivate Campus Clean Team and I need to move all their events to another organization. So I go and I search and I'll find all the events under the Campus Clean Team. And then I can pick and choose which ones I want to move, and I click on reassign. Who do I want to reassign them to? I don't want to do this, but I just want to point that out. That's how you do it. Merge organizations. Okay, we see people do this a lot. Let me show you. Under my organizations, somebody created Alpha Phi Alpha, and then somebody created Alpha Phi Alpha 2, or they spelled alpha differently or whatever, but it's the same organization. So I need to merge them. How do I do that? I do that under Admin Tools, Merge Organizations. So I'm going to do Alpha Phi 2 to Alpha Phi. I click on Merge. So what will happen? All the events under Alpha Phi Alpha 2 will get moved to Alpha Phi Alpha, and Alpha Phi Alpha 2 will be deleted. Done. If I go now to the organizations, Alpha Phi Alpha 2 is gone. Great cleanup tool, guys. Please look through your organizations. Let's go down to delete old events. A lot of times people call us and say, hey, we need to delete everything from 2021. You actually can do that. You will need to pick when, the date from the date and then back. And I want to point something out. All global administrators on your account will be notified via email that you have requested to do this, because it's happened to us before where people have gone in and deleted events, and then their colleagues call us and say, everything's gone. I'm like, yeah, one of your colleagues did that. So we're going to alert all your global administrators that you have requested to do that. And Joe, I can't remember, all of them get emails frequently, right? I think it's like
Every day.
Every day. Okay.
Once a day.
Okay. And then when does it finally go into effect? When does it finally delete?
1 week.
1 week. Okay. There we go.
You got 7 days to get that accomplished. And
Okay.
and you cannot delete anything earlier or within a year. It's only a year and older.
Yeah. So if you'll notice, when I click on the add request, 2024. So if I tried to delete stuff from July of this year, couldn't do it. We force you to keep at least a year, which is good. Good policy. Okay. Joe, are there any unanswered questions? Anything
No,
that,
I was able to keep up.
Wow. Okay.
We're doing good.
Great. So what the next step then, guys, is what we're going to do is we will send out this recording along with all of Joe's answers to your questions. Please, if something intrigued you, you didn't understand, you want a follow-up session unique to you, reach out to myself or Joe. We are happy to help. Anything else, Joe? Are we good?
I don't see anybody asking. We could let people, if they wanted to unmute and ask a verbal, we've got a few minutes to do that. If anybody has anything different.
I have a question. Did anybody learn anything? And if so, would you put it in the chat, please?
Put them on the spot.
Yeah.
All right, we just got a new one coming in. Can we get an email notification for new users? Yes, there's a new user email.
You want to show that, Joe? I'm moving on to something else that I want to grab and show.
Okay. I have to remember. Oh, yeah. me on the spot, people.
That's
Get
okay
my,
because
no, I get it over here. So under account settings, we have emails and we have the welcome new requester email. So there's new emails that you can format. And this will go out to those new requesters. Okay.
Just pulling up another slide. Okay.
Yep. So that's where that is. And again, under account settings, those different ones, which is where Wendy told you about the support contact information and so forth. Just go to the email tab. Okay. Give it back.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Oh.
Okay, doesn't look
Sorry.
like we have any more
I think
questions.
so. They gave some ideas about what they did learn, which is great.
Oh, super. Tom, I just saw that you learned a lot because you're brand new. Oh gosh, I hope you get a session with Joe or myself to go into more detail. Because there's a lot of nitty gritty stuff. Fantastic. Great. Oh my gosh, good. So wonderful. Glad people are getting some value out of it. Okay, so we will be doing this again in December, everybody. If you get any new global admins, be on the lookout for the December session, and don't suffer in silence. If you see something or if you want to talk about something one-on-one, we're happy to do it. Great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend.